This is Countdown to Economic Collapse. July 31st, 2011. I'm David John Sponheim, running for president in 2012. We are at a debt crisis deadlock here. Our country is negotiating supposedly a pact the Senate's going to sign. Mitch McConnell, Harry Reid have agreed on a plan to extend the debt $2.2 trillion, and we also want to make sure $1 trillion is cut over 10 years. According to that plan, if they don't cut the trillion over 10 years, by the end of 2011, they will be forced to debate on a balanced budget amendment. Now, this is a paltry effort, I might add, by the two-party system to cut the budget that Barack Obama and George Bush created, to cut the deficit spending that both Barack Obama and George Bush engaged in. But more importantly, Barack Obama is going to get a free ride through the next cycle of elections if he isn't made accountable for the amount of overspending he's engaged in up to this point. $4.5 trillion over budget. That's what Barack Obama has been since he's become president. And this has created a huge obstacle. And for him to get a free ride with this plan by the Senate, big mistake. So I hope the people at the House, even the Tea Party people, they should stand up and say, no way, no way. This is too big of a concession. The idea of extending the debt limit is going to put our nation again in a situation where we'll have to face the same issues, but it'll be with a new president, myself. And I don't plan on just being nice to the congressional corruption. I'm going to go at it full bore. And I'm extremely upset over the fact that our nation has become so corrupted with special interests that even the two parties right now are only talking about cutting the growth rate in our economy. Now, tonight, I'm going to bring Sarah in. You can get a chance to meet her. She's a partner at America's Third Party, and she's also my campaign manager for the 2012 election.
Hello, everybody. Yes, this debt ceiling crisis is a huge problem. I was just reading today that they put together a panel of just 5 average Americans and gave them the same problems to solve our debt ceiling crisis. They were able to come up to a solution in 2 hours. So It shows you how much pork barrel spending, how much lobbyists and corporations are affecting and influencing our politicians.
Now, we recently got a lot of exposure on YouTube by a video one of our key supporters, Bill Mount, has posted, Dr. William Mount, and he talked about this group of apartment buildings at Salishan down in Tacoma. And he talked about the non-U.S. citizens that are living in this building structure. It is huge. There's 1,300 homes or more, and they're making a tremendous amount of benefit and money from our tax dollars. Many people have come into this country, become non-U.S. citizens with green cards, and have taken advantage of all these pork barrel spending projects that the Democrats in our area and across the nation have put together. Now, these are plans that offer tremendous comfort to the people that are living there, and we're very concerned that the average American isn't getting the same benefits given to them by the government. And we're concerned that our government has gone bankrupt as a result of this. Now, let's talk about the transportation meeting that I went to recently in our sector.
Yes, so we went to a Connecting Communities meeting on Friday, and you can explain what happened, David.
Well, I listened to a state senator talk about all the wonderful things she was doing and how she was going ahead with some projects, but most of them had to go on hold because they're having a terrible budget crisis. And I noticed that she didn't talk about cost containment at all. All she talked about was raising revenue, tolls on highways, more fuel taxes, and it really concerned me to the point where at the end of her speech, I asked a couple key questions. For instance, the ferry they created, virtually overspending by 100%. It cost $72 million when it was budgeted at around $35 million. Go ahead.
One of the things about it was that they're looking for federal revenue at a time when our government is facing this debt crisis. Yeah. So I mean, it's really unbelievable.
I basically said, I'm sorry, but we're out of money. And hecklers in the crowd were calling me names, telling me to get a life. I can't imagine how distorted their view is, that they think they're going to spend our money, the taxpayers' dollars, and not have a person like myself stand up and represent the American people and tell them they have outspent too much. They aren't admitting the terrible failures in their planning.
Right. I mean, we definitely have to look at our budget and ways that we can cut our budget. And I just want to take this opportunity to say that if Obama was doing what I do every single month, I release just a small column. I look at one issue a month of ways the government can either save money or make money. And we release this in our newsletter. So I want to encourage you to sign up to the next one at americasthirdparty.com/member. And all I need is your name and email address, and you will receive more ideas of ways the government can save and make money.
Now, we've talked about how important small business is to job growth. And I want to give you a personal story about a friend of mine who apparently knows someone, his brother in fact, who was a dentist, and he had to look for employees. So what he'd do is he'd train the employees and actually pay them $25 an hour just temporarily to see if they were good enough to work in the dentist profession. And one time he actually trained a woman for 3 hours and said, "I'm sorry, you're not going to cut it." And she left, and that was the end of it. But this dentist got a call from the Department of Unemployment Compensation, and they called her and said that this woman was applying for unemployment benefits for a 3-hour training session. And you know something? That dentist had to pay unemployment benefits on her because she was trained for 3 hours. And that's what the kind of regulations have done to small businesses like this dentist. They've prevented them from operating. You imagine paying unemployment compensation matching funds on a person who just walked in for 3 hours at your job. This is what the government is doing. It is strangling the growth process in our nation. Building small jobs has got to have less regulations and a less of a heavy hand by the federal government and the state government.
I've heard of somebody that went into a job that worked, and they worked there for only 5 weeks, and they've had been on unemployment from that job for close to a year and a half.
99 weeks, Obama gave.
Yes, and they can have 99 weeks when they've only worked at a certain job for 5 weeks, or like you're saying, maybe that woman is also getting 99 weeks for only working for 3 hours just to see if she was a decent hygienist.
I bet she is. She's still probably collecting. You know, this problem is the result of Barack Obama's extensions. And the unemployment compensation insurance plan put together by JFK actually only had a 6-week period covered. And that was a good plan. But this has gotten ridiculous. It has cost the taxpayer, get this, $450 billion since Obama put it in place. And about 11 million people are profiting from it all across the country. And he hasn't created real job opportunities. You know, the Nobel Prize in Economics this past year.
I was just going to say that comment. Yeah, the Nobel Prize in Economics that David was referring to just last year, it went to 2 people that said that if people are on unemployment, they're actually not going to be looking for a job until they absolutely have to. So no wonder that our economy continues to not be doing very well, because we have all of these people on the system, taking from the system rather than trying to look for opportunities to do better in their life.
There's no incentive.
There's no incentive. One of the things that we believe in at America's Third Party is giving people a hand up rather than a handout. We believe there should be incentive to actually do better.
We want to thank you for listening to Countdown to Economic Collapse up to this point and catching all of our YouTube videos, and they're going to keep coming. And we will frame the economic collapse video in the middle of our America's Third Party weekly address, which is coming next week. And you'll see a whole new beginning and a much different approach to this discussion group that we are starting. And believe me, a lot of people are upset right now. And the Democrats and Republicans have not mentioned anything about illegal immigration, non-U.S. citizens collecting Social Security, and the amount of money going overseas. Combined, it totals $500 billion per year, Sarah.
Wow.
$500 billion goes out to foreign aid, helping people like non-U.S. citizens with green cards with all these benefits.
Something like $500 billion goes out to all of these
$500 billion.
Wow.
These are the kind of cuts that we need to make in order to get this budget fiscally sound. And with revenue declining over the near future, because Obama hasn't stimulated jobs or production growth, is going to be lower. So we're going to be facing an even bigger budget crunch if this Senate bill passes. I don't want it to pass. I really believe that we have to face this problem head on right now, and Obama has to pay for making this humongous mistake of overspending the past 3 years. He has to pay in not getting reelected, because if he's not going to change this country and make jobs, then the person who is going to make jobs and change this country needs to step up, and he needs to move out of the way.
And David John Sponheim is the person that will make the changes necessary for our nation. I will see you guys next week here on YouTube. In the meantime, if you want your America's Third Party fix, I encourage you to join us every weeknight on Blog TV, where we talk directly to you and chat with you. So read your chat. And you can check out our website, americasthirdparty.com, to find out all of our links. And David has a brand new Votocracy page that I'd also like for you guys to like on there.
And that is a way in which we can get mainstream media attention, and the hits on YouTube will increase dramatically as a result of that. And I really am looking forward to competing for that opportunity to serve you in the 2013 year as your president. As always, embed our video wherever you can, and thank you for watching. Thank you.
Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.